been seeing some atrocities happen at the border with the murder of Claudia Gomez Gonzalez, La Princesita, who was murdered and shot by a Border Patrol agent last week. We know Roxana also died, a transgender woman in detention recently, and so all these atrocities is why we're here today, to do a call to action, but also to have many speakers who are on the front lines, leaders on the front lines that will also share some of their thoughts and calls to actions as well. Please join us.
Thank you very much. There is a lot going wrong with immigration enforcement today, but I want to focus on an egregious situation, which is removing children from their parents at the border. And we must speak up and say, this goes too far. The fact that the president is trying to distance himself from his own policy shows that if all of us speak out loudly, we have an opportunity to force them to stop. You know, I was one of the co-authors of the trafficking law that provided for asylum processes for people showing up at the border who are fleeing violence. That was passed unanimously in the Congress. It was signed into law by George Bush. So to say that this is some left-wing thing, no, this was mainstream, promoted and supported by the entire Congress and by political entities from right to left.
I want to say here that on behalf of the California State Senate, as a leader emeritus, that I'm here to stand in solidarity with the good men and women of SIREN, with my good friend Rokana, as well as Zoe, in my denunciation of this administration's act to separate, again, mothers from their children at the border. This is something we have never seen in our nation's history, quite frankly. Even with the George W. Bush administration, the George Herbert Walker administration, whether it was Ronald Reagan, we've never seen anything like this before. The actual separating of children, which quite frankly is, I think, a kidnapping of these children. They're forcibly kidnapping these children and taking them from the hands of their mothers because of the color of their skin, because of the country of their origin, and because of their legal status. And that's why we must all unite, Democrats and Republicans, Californians, Americans, united as one to denounce categorically and forcefully the kidnapping and separating of these children. This is a country that believes strongly in family values, and we believe that no federal government should ever separate innocent mothers from their children and children.
In early May, Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced that every person who crosses the border illegally will be prosecuted. The result of this policy will separate families because children are not allowed into jails. Claudia Patricia Gomez Gonzalez, a Guatemalan woman who recently crossed the border in hopes of finding a job after having earned her degree in accounting, was fatally shot by a Border Patrol official. Officials have changed their report on the tragedy, which to many suggests inconsistency and has led to demands of an investigation. She came to this country not as a threat, but only to find a job and a brighter future, and we failed her. Her tragic death must motivate the community to seek justice and make sure this never happens again. Her name and story must not be forgotten. Claudia Patricia Gomez Gonzalez. We please ask you to call your members of Congress, urging them to demand that the Trump administration end family separation and detention, decrease funding for ICE, Border Patrol, and U.S. Attorney's Office, and support legislation that keeps families together. Please call the number 202-224-3121.
Today we say, ¿se puede?
Sí, se puede.
¿Se puede?
Sí, se puede.
¿Se puede?
Sí, se puede.
El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. 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 Muchísimas gracias. Thank you very much. Sí se puede.